I see a massive paradigm shift happening right now on a global scale because this topic, this wisdom, this information, this conversation is happening in different ways all around the world, and people are shifting.
Welcome to a small business podcast series where each week we are interviewing small business owners that support small businesses. And now we have a new guest, a new take on everything, as somebody who has taken a completely different approach to coaching and programs at a project called Life. And I want to welcome Heather Kuhnheim, the founder of a project called Life, to the show. Heather, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited to chat today.
Can you give us a quick introduction as to your business and the problems that you are solving for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus on conscious leadership, which is a pretty packed term in our opinion. And the best way that I can, we're living at an extraordinary time where neuroscience and quantum physics are merging with ancient wisdom and consciousness and manifestation. And we're learning a lot about how we create our own lives and the impact that our thoughts have on the life that we're creating. So we take clients through a journey of self-leadership, and then we transition into the actual hard leadership skills that people want to develop. But it's an inward journey first, for sure.
Heather, that is a very unique thing to be talking about, especially if you're starting to dive ancient wisdom and into, modern times and quantum physics and all of the things that we're learning in the world today. And that leads really well. Like there has to be a story here as to what inspired you to start this business and to move it forward.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So I spent a little over a decade helping build a San Francisco-based company called Marine Layer from startup to national brand. And I was the VP of retail, oversaw all major functions, finance operations, customer experience, store design, all the things within that organization, and fell deeply and madly in love with leadership development. And in an industry that typically had 65% turnover, we actually had 65% retention, which is unheard of in a retail space. So I attribute that to the focus that we put on leadership development. And I've always been intrinsically a leader my whole life, but that experience on a pretty large scale helped me really get there on the business side. Simultaneously, I was traveling the world. I was going to India and Indonesia and experiencing different cultures, Turkey, Armenia, and just really I was having a soul experience of how connected we are as a humanity and seeing different spiritual traditions around the world and just being really moved by that. Started meditating on a regular basis, started having my own personal empowerment experiences. And all the while, I felt very split between the version of me that was San Francisco senior business leader exec and this more heart-centered spiritual part of myself. And for a long time, those two things felt really far apart. And the more I moved them closer and closer together, the more whole I felt. And, we're at a new time. A project called Life is not the only organization focusing on this right now. Mind Valley is a great example. They have 20 million students. Like, people are ready for this kind of conversation, and manifestation is becoming a hot topic. It's trending and people are curious. So, I'm thrilled because I've spent my life kind of between these two worlds, and a project called Life finally merges them, and we're getting to work with people in a really deep and powerful way, and people are seeing significant results. It's fun. It's fun when you start playing here, and that's really also at the core of what we want to accomplish.
Oh, that is so great to hear. And you're so right about manifestation. And that niche is just blowing up. I've watched a few different YouTube channels here recently go from just in a matter of 3 weeks, go from 20,000 subscribers and now they're over 70, 80,000. And it's sometimes growing at 4 or 5,000 a week. And that's just going to continue to hockey stick curve up. So it's definitely a hot topic. People are interested in it, trying to understand it, and working forward. Let's be real. You didn't start your business to feel stuck, overwhelmed, or bored out of your mind. But yet, here you are, spinning, stalled, or just chasing every shiny object just to stay motivated. And I know exactly how you feel, because I used to do the same thing. But that's why I built the Momentum community, for founders like you. It's for people who are ready to get serious, simplify, and build a business that actually moves forward. It uses peer accountability, and it's what I used to be able to grow my business successfully and have a great exit. Does sound like something you need? Click the link in the description below and let's have a conversation. Enjoy the rest of the show. What would you say would set a project called Life different from others that might be in the industry? You commented about another one already, but what makes you unique?
Yeah. So we're focusing specifically on conscious leadership. And, our programs and coaching would be suited for anyone who is really interested in self-development. The reason we are focusing on conscious, purpose-driven leaders is because we like working with them. That's really it. But in that space, we want to teach leaders how to leverage the power that we truly have within to lead others. So we're not swimming upstream all the time. I think overwhelm and burnout it's the story, and we want to hit unsubscribe because we don't have to sit in that space. And so we're walking people through. We have a 6-month program, and in the first 2 months we're focusing on emotional mastery. Most programs don't start there, right? We spend 2 months meeting every other week, deep diving into emotions and how to navigate emotions and conflict, internal and external, and really building the skills from within to then be able to lead ourselves and others. Then we move on to mindset mastery. Again, most leadership programs don't focus on this. And when we talk about mindset mastery, we're talking about self-care, manifestation, alignment, inspiration. And these topics are kind of missed in a lot of leadership programs. And then the last 2 months, we dive into leadership mastery, and that's more of the normal stuff. But we spend 2/3 of our program really diving inwards.
Okay, sounds like such a unique approach and definitely creates a differentiator. What would you say is a recent project or initiative that has really energized you and your team?
Great question. We just launched social media and marketing and our ad campaigns, and that for us is such a big milestone. We, prior to that, had spent about a year with our program in beta form. So we were working one-on-one with about a dozen people in our program, really honing in on how we wanted it to be delivered and how it could be most effective. And then we moved it into several cohorts, which is how we typically do it now in small group settings. And so after spending that much time nailing it, we're thrilled to be scaling it. And we're already seeing such a positive response in that space, which is really exciting.
Okay, looking ahead, you talked about how this is all new, right? We're talking about mindset and manifestation and quantum physics, things that are fairly new. How do you see the evolution of this industry going, and where do you see it going in the next 5 to 10 years? It's a lot of a different approach because it could go any which way in direction. There's really who knows what's coming down the road, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, I see a massive paradigm shift happening right now on a global scale, because this topic, this wisdom, this information, this conversation is happening in different ways all around the world, and people are shifting. So I think there's, at some point there will be a critical mass where this is where we're leading from and how we're having conversations right now. There are pioneers in this space. And I believe that we are one of them. And it's thrilling to be a pioneer in this space. But, the proof is in the pudding and people are seeing results. So here we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Heather, it's been such a great conversation. I want to jump into the lightning round. Are you ready?
I am. Let's go.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea,
Tea. Okay.
matcha specifically.
Matcha specific. There you go. Green tea specialties.
Mhm.
Cats or dogs?
Ooh, I love all furry friends. Can't answer
You're not the, don't worry, you're not the only one that has said both.
that.
And I do have both myself. If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
A water purifier hiking bottle.
Okay.
So, because the infrastructure and systems seem to shut down, and it's like, well, we need water.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
go build a hut in the woods, and as long as I have clean, fresh water, then I'll be okay for a bit.
There you go. Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
Ooh, Paulo Coelho from The Alchemist. This has been influential for decades at this point, and it's no coincidence because it's why I'm here. But when we want something, the entire universe conspires in our favor to help us achieve it.
That's a very powerful one. Very powerful one.
Yep.
Favorite movie or streaming series that you love?
Oh my gosh. Favorite? Well, I'm a big Marvel gal. So I spend a lot of time with Marvel, but also just anything in the fantasy kind of land.
Yeah, excellent. My daughter, same thing. Like so we have seen every single, or she has seen everything produced. I have stayed away from the series mostly for time management purposes.
Yeah, fair. I understand.
The one book that has influenced your life the most.
Oh gosh. Well, I'll say the Book of Joy by Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu because it took me 4 years to read it. It sat next to my bed for a very long time. Every time I picked it up, something special happened. And then at one point, the first page of the last chapter, I read a paragraph, and as soon as I read that paragraph, a project called life just seemed to jump off the words and the page and slap me in the forehead. It didn't say a project called life, but in that moment, I kind of received the vision and inspiration for this company, this community, this organization. And from then on, it's been my life was going this way, and then it started going this way, and it's been phenomenal.
And what's the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome and one lesson that you've learned from it?
I don't necessarily identify with the language of challenge or obstacle because, and this goes back to how we train, what we train and how we train it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my perspective is that if I'm following desire, if I'm following wants versus shoulds, then I'm heading in the right direction. And leaving a multi six-figure job in San Francisco to follow a dream when everyone else was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I have to do this. I'm not running away from anything. I'm running towards something. I feel it in my heart, my gut. I have to go. So I've always followed my heart and gut. My intuition consistently leads me, and it's not without contrast or conflict, but yeah, I believe my feet always take me where I'm meant to be, and that has led in a lot of different directions, but
Nice.
I'm always learning. I'm always learning.
Excellent. Heather, it's been so great to have you on the show today. How can listeners collaborate with you if they want to learn more about a project called Life?
Yeah, they can look us up at aprojectcalledlife.com. We have a whole bunch of information on our website, and or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all A Project Called Life.
Excellent. So you heard it there, everybody. It is the website, A Project Called Life, or any of the socials. We'll have all of that information in the show notes or description if you're watching this on YouTube. And I want to thank Heather for coming on the show, and we get to learn quite a bit about a whole different perspective on leadership coaching today. So until next time.